Nobody knows I sing. Even when I'm singing, when they're in the room, they don't know. It's the weirdest thing. I just love doing theater, whether it's Broadway or somewhere else. Live theater is so great and it's thrilling, and I love doing musicals. I'm really excited and happy to have a chance to be able to sing every night. My dad was an actor. He was at Paramount. He was a contract player at Paramount in the 50s, so he was a performer, but he never was well known. And then after we moved back to Oklahoma, that's where my parents grew up, he did like regional theater and stuff and some TV commercials and things in Oklahoma and Texas. I was singing all along from the time I was really little. I would always sing along to the radio, and I really loved music, and I would shut myself in the bedroom and put on a record and dance around to it. And they had Barbra Streisand and Judy Garland records, and when my parents would go out, I would put on one song and I would just keep putting it back on and back on and back on until I could sing it just like the record. Or I thought it sounded like the record. It probably didn't sound anything like the record, but that's how I learned to sing. I did a few little things in summer stock in Oklahoma City at the Lyric Theater, which is still around. And then I went to Northwestern. I had a great time there. I wasn't even a theater major, but I did a lot of theater there, and I hung around with all the theater kids. I had gone to Northwestern with this guy named Jeff Calhoun, and he was directing the revival of Grease, and we weren't really close friends, but we were kind of fans of each other at Northwestern. And they were auditioning out in Los Angeles, and he found my number and called me up and said, "Do you want to audition for this thing?" And I said, "Sure." It was a really fun group. Hunter Foster, that was his first Broadway show, and now I'm doing this show with Sutton. Yeah, he was 23 at the time. It was a lot of people's first Broadway show, and I was 34 playing a 17-year-old. That seems to be my big thing. I'm playing a virgin in this one, so go figure. They made me be Rosie's understudy, and Rosie was like, "Don't worry, I never get sick." Literally, like 2 weeks later, she had laryngitis, couldn't speak for 1 week. I had to go on, and not only was I heinously bad because I'm not cut out to be an understudy, but I had the joy of them announcing in tonight's performance the role of Hoo-Ha, normally played by Rosie O'Donnell, will be played by somebody else, and hearing the audience go, "God, go!" like throwing their programs down on the floor. It was so horrible. I just went back to auditioning for pilots and stuff, and I was so over it, and I did a couple pilots that didn't go anywhere. Then I said, I'm not auditioning for any more pilots, and I didn't audition for any sitcom pilots for a while, and then I had no money, and I had to pay my rent. And so then I auditioned for sitcom pilots again, and then I got Will and Grace. Well, this is different. I mean, this was a no-brainer. Young Frankenstein, to me, was just like such a godsend. The minute I heard about it, I thought, oh my God, it would be so much fun to be in that show. I know it's going to be great, and all the people involved, it's like the top of the top. And it has proved to be just that from the very first rehearsal. There's not a bad apple in the bunch. Our whole cast is just, Susan Stroman is so great at casting. She's so great at casting talent-wise, but she's also such a great reader of people. I mean, I think that counts for as much as anything, because it makes a big difference. I think that the thing that's fun about Elizabeth is the change that, the arc that she goes through in the course of the show, where she goes from being very proper to being more unbuttoned. I just think it's the greatest show, and I think that it's just so fun to be in a show that the audiences love so much, Every night they just cheer. It's really, really nice, because that's all you want to do as a performer or in any job. You just want to be pleasing the person on the receiving end of whatever service it is you're performing. I would do Broadway exclusively for the rest of my life. I just really love doing theater. And I love, being able to tell the story from point A to point B in an unbroken arc. And, I love the mystery, the thing that's mysterious about doing theater, which is the fact that the show, even though you're doing the same show every night, it is so radically different from one performance to the next, or one scene to the next even. And that there's so much, alchemy involved in it, and that's what I love about it.